overwhelm. It is so common, and it is absolutely detrimental. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit. Hello, Facebook. How are you guys doing? How are you on this Wednesday morning? I have my light on. I have my daylight therapy lamp sitting right next to me because even though it's March now, as you can see right here, I have this going on here. Even though it's March, honestly, Canada is March and April is a very gray environment. Oftentimes, we get all of these gray, rainy, slash snowy days, and it's starting to affect me. And so, during these months of March and April, I need to have that extra light that really helps my mood to cope with that weather, really, especially when I sit in my office so much. All right, everybody. So autoimmune equals overwhelm. Um, this is something that a lot of women are struggling with that I'm speaking with. A lot of women are having not just the symptoms that they're dealing with, but also the overwhelm of, wow, there's so much information out there. How am I even going to tackle this? Um, what is right? What is wrong? How can I decipher what is going to work for my body? What is not going to work for my body? What does my body need while you're going through this experience of feeling fatigued, feeling brain fog, trying to focus but cannot because you just don't have the ability to really do your own research and hang in there for so long in order to grasp that right information that you need in order to make changes in your life. So let's talk about it and see what I believe, what I have had to do in my life to step out of this overwhelm and to step into wellness and feeling well and feeling normal and feeling alive and feeling good with my autoimmune, with my symptoms, to getting my symptoms to reduce in my body and then eventually stepping into remission for the most part. Let's talk about what I believe needs to be done in order to step out of that overwhelm. But before we do that, we need to understand what is overwhelm. That is the number one question that we have to ask ourselves. There's tips and tricks that I'm going to share with you. But before we go into the how to, we need to understand the why. And this is something that I see with everything that is happening when we're starting to feel overwhelmed. We are starting to go into the frantic way of trying to change things, trying to incorporate things, trying to implement things. The frantic doing versus the stepping back for a second, assessing and understanding what is happening in your body. That is honestly the number one thing that we are not taking our time because we're so desperate, because we want to see results and we want to feel so much better. So that is what I see. But number one, where does overwhelm come from? Overwhelm comes from number one, I believe, anything new. Any situation that is new to us brings fear of the unknown. Overwhelm is a direct result of something new that brings on fear or uncertainty. And let me know if that resonates with you. Give me a hands up in the comments if you feel like this is speaking to you. I will give you just an example from our life right now, and then I will tie that into health. So for us personally, right now, we have added another quote unquote family member. We have, adopted a puppy into our family just a couple of weeks ago. The overwhelm that I have been feeling in the past 2 weeks was enormous. Why? Because the whole situation was entirely new to us. Yes, I read about how, a new puppy is almost like having a new baby in the house and all of the things you need to do. And even though I prepared and we started doing these things, when the puppy was finally in our house, it was like a whole new ball game, a whole new scenario. It was running around, chewing on everything. You can't leave it alone for one split second, so that it doesn't choke on things that it's not supposed to be eating. It was an entirely new situation, and we were not, able to. Well, we were able to, but we didn't have the um, capacity beforehand to really understand what this new situation will bring to us. That is exactly the same when we are being diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. It's a new situation that you're experiencing that brings on fear and uncertainty. Let me know in the comments if you feel that is how you felt. So, what does that create? It creates overwhelm. It creates overwhelm because you don't know what you have to do in that moment in time. You're trying to figure things out and you're starting to frantically just, you are reacting to the situation versus proactively trying to implement systems and strategies that actually work. So you're going into that frantic action taking without assessing first what you need to do. So in the puppy scenario, what I knew is okay, this is not working for us. I have no idea how to rein in that energy. I have no idea how to even start training this dog in terms of um, toilet training, in terms of listening to commands and all of these type of things. So we sat down as a family and we said, okay, we need help, right? I understand that this is completely overwhelming to us, and we need help in order to get this started off the right way. So we actually hired well, we didn't hire a dog trainer, but we went to dog training. So one of our pet stores in our town, they offer dog training sessions, and we signed up for the 6 week session to learn, to assess, to step back and let an expert, inform us and teach us on how to do these things. And I can tell you, the level of overwhelm went down tremendously because what this trainer said made so much sense. It came from a different perspective. It honestly, it took away the anxiety because just hearing that this is absolutely normal to feel was very, very liberating and very reassuring. So, taking that into the health space for you, bringing that back 10 years ago when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, I felt exactly like that. And because it was a brand new situation and I had no clue how to deal with that. And then you go out there, and that is the second point. Let me just see my notes here so that I keep on track. Um, that is my second point. Number two is now you have to find the information that you need in order to get out of the overwhelm and in order to be able to implement nutrition, lifestyle, stress management, all of these things that will help your body to shift back into balance, that will help your body to get what it needs in order to soothe the inflammation, support your cells in your body, support your health, support your gut, support your stress response, all of these things. You need to understand the right nutrition that you need. You need to understand the right movement that you have to incorporate, the right mindset. And here comes the question: how do I find this information? Where do I find this information? There's so much information out there that can actually create another level of overwhelm in your life. right? So the first overwhelm is the fear and the new situation that you are in, you're trying to navigate. And then the second overwhelm is, but where do I find this information that is valuable to me, that works for me? Because there's just so much out there that doesn't, that where I don't really know, um, if that is even true. So again, here's my tip for you is same thing with the puppy situation. Before you go into action taking, you need to step back a second and you need to assess. The reason why there is so much information out there and so many different ways of addressing autoimmune in terms of nutrition, like there's a lot of people that swear by the AIP. There's a lot of people that swear by going paleo. There's a lot of people that say keto is the way. There's a lot of people, you know, um, that say, like just heavy protein based, whatever it is. There's so much information out there, but you yourself have to define for yourself what is it that my body needs. So I'll bring it back to the puppy situation in our house. Hello, Joanne. Hello, Kulud. Everybody who pops on here, say hi. It's nice to have that conversation. Let me know if anything like this that I share with you resonates with you. Okay. Um, Again, the thing is with how do I find the right the right information is what is right for your body in this moment in time. The reason why there's so much information out there is because everybody is different. Everybody's body is different. You, in your own personal life, experience slightly different symptoms than the person next door to you or the person who lives in a different country because of different health history issues, because of different root causes. For one person, it is a high stress environment that is triggering the inflammation in the body, right? A high like a busy a busy professional who goes out there and just works and doesn't know how to find the space in order to actually bring down your nervous system triggers cortisol levels in their body that just increases the inflammation so much. For this person, you will absolutely have to work on your stress management. You will absolutely have to work on bringing, not bringing down, but leveling those cortisol levels that also, start to affect your sleep. So you might be wanting to look into adaptogens. You might be wanting to look into therapeutic foods that are actually supporting your nervous system because that is what you need, right? You might be needing more healthy fats and more healthy proteins because those building blocks are needed for you to build your hormones and to build your nervous system, right? However, there's a different scenario. Let's say you actually have been on antibiotics for years and years and years of your life, which has absolutely left a detrimental impact on your gut microbiome. Gut microbiome, meaning your good bacteria in your gut. Your good bacteria are a big part of your immune system. And if your gut area has become out of balance, then this might be a big cause for your own inflammation that is just, triggering inflammation over and over again in your body. So for you, you will definitely have to take a look at, okay, what foods are not serving me at this moment in time? What foods are right now causing me inflammation? What foods right now are causing me to feel worse? So you will have to decipher in terms of taking a food journal and really connecting your symptoms to the food that you're eating. Hey, Ashley, how are you? Um, and for you as this person, you will have to focus on your gut health. Now, does that mean that you will have to go on an AIP diet? Again, you will have to reassess. Are you a person who can really, be so rigid and cutting out all the foods that might be triggering an immune response in your body in order to bring down the inflammation because you're pulling out all of the foods that might be triggering inflammation. That is what the AIP diet does. The AIP diet is very restrictive. It's very restrictive for a reason. The reason is because it removes all of the possible inflammatory foods, or I should say inflammatory foods because no food is really inflammatory. It's your gut that's out of balance. But foods that can cause you irritation in your gut, it removes it all. And yes, because of that, you're feeling better. But at the same time, if this is causing you stress because you're missing out on all the good foods that you used to eat and they used to love, then it might not be the right approach for you, right? The more difficult and the harder approach for you would be to actually take the time, sit down, write down the symptoms that you are getting from the foods that you're ingesting, right? You might not be reacting to nuts and seeds. You might not be reacting to eggs. You might not be reacting to nightshades. Everybody's different. There is no bad foods out there. So this is really, I just want to make that really clear. There's no bad food out there. The we haven't been provided with foods like peppers and tomatoes and nightshades and artichokes, all these things because it's harming us, right? It's a gut that has become out of balance. So having said that, that is why there's so many different approaches out there because there is millions of different people out there with millions of different gut issues and root causes that triggered autoimmune in the first place. Another scenario, let's say, is parasites. If you are having a parasite or if you're having really detox issues, right, that is right now just fueling your inflammation, then this is something you'll have to look at. And this is something you'll have to remove out of your gut, out of your life, in order to, put a dent into the inflammation. So, this is where you can start to decrease overwhelm by assessing. I know it doesn't sound very, sexy, or it doesn't sound very like, intriguing to actually sit back in a minute and to assess your body and try to become in tune with your body because it feels like it takes energy, and it does take energy, and I get that. Already when you're feeling fatigued and all of these things, but don't push yourself. Really give yourself that time because what you want to create is something long lasting. You want to create something that you're stepping out of consistently for the rest of your life. And just keep that in mind. And it takes time and it takes little steps, but you need to be prepared. You need to create that foundation. So that is number two of the overwhelm. So we talked about number one, you're in a whole brand new situation that comes with fear that it throws into frantic doing, randomly implementing things because the whole situation is new. That is bringing you overwhelm. The second point was all of the information. Everybody says something different. You don't know how to handle the whole thing. We just talked about that with really taking time to assess yourself. And the second point here is that I want to mention is trust, trust and positive thoughts. So that might not be sounding very, helpful and effective at this moment in time as you're trying to navigate the information out there, which we just talked about and how to really get going on that. However, what you need to have is you have to have a full on trust in your body and in yourself and in your higher self or in source or in the universe or in God, who whoever that is for you, that this is your purpose. This is you are here for a reason, and this is part of your journey. And the trust that you will have to develop is something that is going to pull you through. If you don't trust in any of the things that you're starting to implement in your life, if you don't feel there's any positivity coming your way, if you don't trust that this journey will come to will come out at the other side of the tunnel, then you don't even have to start the whole thing. Because I can honestly tell you that our mind can override every physical action that you're taking. You will have to start to trust your body because your body is capable of doing these things. Your body's capable of repairing, restoring cells. It heals wounds all the time, internally and externally. It does it all the time if you give it the right tools and the right thoughts, right? It needs the right thoughts. The thoughts are your brain is so connected to all of your physical organs through the vagus nerve. If there is no positive, sensing coming in that way, if it's all negative, then this just results in negative energy. And that also causes stress levels to go up. And that's a whole different story again with the whole stress, how that really fuels inflammation in your body. So it's something that you need to absolutely try to nourish every day. Try to nourish every day the positive thoughts and the trust that you're starting to develop on this journey with an autoimmune, which will help you alleviate overwhelm. So, um, I hope this was helpful. We talked about the types of overwhelm you can experience on this journey, and then I gave you some good ideas and tips on how you can start to step out of the overwhelm. Number one, when it's something new, try to find an expert like us with a dog training, right? If it's overwhelming for that situation, learn about the autoimmunity, learn about what needs to be done in the body, how your body needs to recover, learn and have that information in place. And if that's from an expert, that's what you need to do. If you feel that you're overwhelmed so much that you can't do your own research, you will have to reach out to somebody to help you with that. Number two is stop going into frantic action taking. Step back for a second, assess your body, assess what your body needs, what your root causes are, and then take specific action. And then number three was the trust process and the positive thoughts that you will have to nourish in your body to pull you through this long term. All right, everybody, I hope this was helpful. If you have any more questions or if you need any more help with this, please reach out to me. I'm always here to help you and enjoy the rest of your day.